Welcome to the TDS Film Room. So now we're going to look at the SMU Defense and some of the different looks they show to teams and some of the interesting stuff they'll do to try to confuse the offense. So we'll start here with play from Game 1 against Arkansas State. So the first three I think are going to be Arkansas State, and they'll come out in a different front every single play, and they'll play it a little bit differently every single play. So right here, you can see that they've got five guys basically on the line of scrimmage, another linebacker right off the line of scrimmage. This is number 2. We mentioned him on the Illuminati podcast. If you listen, he is all over the place. Use him a lot, and we'll get to kind of how they use him later on. But the first play is just kind of an example of one trend in football. It's called simulated pressure. So right here, they're showing an all-out blitz. It looks like you got basically 6 guys within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage. So we're thinking it's going to be possibly a 6-man pressure. It's 3rd and 10. So let's run, and then we'll draw it up. So if you see what they did up front, they actually only bring 4 guys, but they put an interesting twist on it. It almost gets a guy free, but Arkansas State does a pretty good job with it. But this is something that the USF offensive line is really going to have to contend with. So these guys are going to come off the edge. This down lineman, typically they'll play him head up on the center, or if he is in this gap, he wouldn't have this guy right next to him. They don't play these guys this close. So this is kind of a tip right here that something's coming. So what he's going to try to do is split the center and guard and kind of take up both of them. While he's doing that, this walk-up linebacker type guy, he may even be a defensive back, but he's going to step into engage the left guard here. All he's trying to do is get the left guard to block him. If the left guard blocks him, he's going to bail, because basically he's occupied him now, and I'll just bail. If the left guard for some reason would have stepped down, he would have continued his rush. And then they're going to wrap this other defensive tackle back into that gap. And Arkansas State does a pretty good job picking it up. But it's a pretty good scheme right here. Let's see how it plays out. So right now, right here, we're engaging the center and the right guard. He's coming to engage with him. If he was not blocked, he would continue on his path. Since he is blocked, he's going to drop back underneath. The idea behind that is, hopefully I get this guy. If I drop back, he's still not quite sure what's going on. And you actually see they get him. But what happens here is the center does a really good job for Arkansas State, because this guy is going to loop around and continue this path to where I think SMU was thinking the left guard would end up being. So he engages right here, and now he's going to drop. The left guard didn't quite adjust, but the center comes back, but he's still meeting this thing deep in the pocket. And they push the pocket back into the quarterback with only a 4-man rush. And you see, here's the left guard with nobody to block, because the man he started to engage has dropped back into pass coverage. And then the ball falls incomplete on 3rd down. They get off the field on 3rd down. SMU will do a lot of interesting things on 3rd down. I think they're only giving up like 32% conversion, which is really good. So that's one look. So there's one look they gave Arkansas State. So you got basically 6 guys almost at the line of scrimmage. So then same game, not too far down the road here. They come out in kind of the tight front, which is kind of one of the in vogue things in football now, especially in the Big 12 area, is you'll have three down linemen, and they're going to be inside they're going to be on the tackles inside shade, which is called a 4-eye. So a 4-eye is a 4 technique, and the eye is the inside shade. So these guys are in 4 eyes. Typically have wide overhangs to either side for a run. And here, I'm using a little bit of a 3 safety look, which is a big kind of. This is how teams in the Big 12 are kind of taking on those Oklahomas and Texases and that kind of stuff. Those teams that put a lot of stress on you with RPOs and the downfield passing game and the running and a diverse running game. People are starting to go to these 3 safety looks, and a lot of times it's mixed with this front. So again, you have a different front here. And then now they're going to add an interesting pressure package to it. On 1st and 10, you're going to get, looks like a slant by the lineman. But what we're trying to get right here is, I'm inside shade of the tackle. I'm trying to get his eyes. Because you're going to have a blitz off this edge, then another blitz right through here. So we're going to bring 2 off the back side here, away from the slant. They both come free. And Arkansas State does have a run play called, but the quarterback pulls it and is able to make a completion down the field in one-on-one coverage. That's where USF's got to be able to win, is in one-on-one, because they will get one-on-one matchups. If they can win those, which Arkansas State did quite a bit, then they have a really good shot of moving the ball on this SMU team. If they can't win those, which they've struggled with at times, it could be a long night. So again, different front structure, bringing pressure. Arkansas State dealt with it well, but if they're hand off the run, or if this was a drop back pass, this play might be dead. So again, we'll go to the next clip, is the same game. Arkansas State. So now, I'm in a 3-man front, but it's not a tight front. It's more of kind of a, people call it like an Okie front. So I'm more outside the tackle here. So last 2 plays, we've seen a ton of pressure. SMU's brought blitz or some type of pressure package. Last 2 plays, right? Simulated pressure, blitzing 2 off the edge. So here, 2nd 11, and now they just play coverage, drop 8 guys. And up front, they just win a couple up front, split the double team, get pressure with 3, all while dropping 8 in coverage. So when Coach Strong spoke Monday about them being multiple and showing a lot of different things, this is kind of what he's talking about. So they're not just a pressure team. Some teams are just high pressure teams. Some teams are going to sit in base and play coverage and make you earn your way down the field. They really like to mix it up. And you kind of see that in this game. So now let's get to the TCU game. So here's how they start the TCU game. So you're looking on film, you're seeing some odd front stuff. Then they come out in the TCU game and looks like a traditional, 4-3 over front. You may call it an under front if he's going to walk up, but it looks like a 3 tech. Looks like a 1 and 2 ends. So it kind of looks to me like, the kind of 4-3 over front traditionally. So they'll come out in that. So, that's, what is this, 4 plays, 4 different fronts. So then this is later. The same exact drive. This is the first drive of the game on defense. They come out in that odd front, that Okie front, walk up a backer. And they do a pretty good job fundamentally in fitting runs for the most part. And we'll see kind of a really good example of that later on when TCU's on their own goal line coming out. But there's 5 plays, so there's a different front. So now here's another example of that tight front. This is kind of the more traditional look at the tight, I believe. So again, 1, 2, 3 safeties. You have these 3 linemen inside the tackles, 4 eye, nose, wide overhang for anything out here, wide overhang. And so people think this is a box it's really easy to run to because obviously it looks like a 4-man box. But with these overhangs and then this guy in a lot of schemes, I believe that's number 2, not just the second safety, but number 2, the player we spoke about previously. This allows him a lot of times to kind of be flat-footed and play run. So there's another run player there too. You'll see he comes up. He's almost functionally a second linebacker in the box. You see how this guy comes from the wide overhang. He's filling. So it kind of allows you to take away some of this kind of stuff where SMU likes to just turn and throw that bubble. Well, that you can kind of take that away. And then I can also play the run game with that wide overhang. South Carolina State did some similar stuff to that last week, just not out of this front structure. TCU was able to run the ball against SMU, and teams have been able to run the ball against them this year. And we'll show some of those examples at the end here. So now we just saw the tight front. Now it's 4th and 3. This is a really interesting scheme they run at the end of the game here. This is, you can see the bottom, 41-38, 4th and 3 on the 33, going in. If you convert this first down, you have a chance to kick a field goal to tie the game or possibly score a touchdown to win the game. And SMU comes out and runs a really cool scheme here on the final play. I just want to show it to you. Again, number 2. They use this guy all over the field. They bring him from everywhere. This wasn't anything wild, but I'm going to try to shoot here, out there. All right, I'm coming in here. He's going to add in. He's going to kind of run with the back, which they'll do to the boundary sometimes. Sometimes you get 3-4 teams, a lot of times will run this boundary outside backer or end with the back if he releases. So that's kind of what's happening here. So you get him to step down to the slide. The tackle's setting for this wide rusher, but he never comes. And then you basically open up a huge lane for him to get the quarterback. And they've only got to get 3 here. If he's got a second more, he probably puts it on this guy for the first down or is able to drop it over the top to the running back, which he tries to do here. But good scheme and good execution up here basically creates that big open gap right there for number 2 to come through and rush the throw and basically wins the game for them. So this is something from earlier in the game. This is just another, we've been talking about number 2. I think this guy bust. I don't know. He's just kind of running out of there. I think that's a bust. But again, number 2, here he is right there. He's listed in the book on the roster as a safety. So this guy is all over the place, but he does lead the team in sacks or something insane. So that's number 2 right there. I put this on here because I think he busts, but this is a kind of an interesting way to what looks like, again, it's like a different looking front, but what I believe happened is they're running like a version of Tampa 2. So cover 2. and he's going to start here. And I've seen some guys talking about the Ravens do this in the NFL, and they're like, "Oh, teams in college don't do this." Well, Georgia Tech does it. These guys are doing it. He's going to turn and run the pipe. So if you think about those really good Bucks teams that were the Tampa 2 cover 2 teams, that was Derek Brooks was running the pipe. He was the kind of the down the middle of the field. He'd run with a vertical down the middle of the field. So I think this is a way they can run Tampa 2. You see him turning to run and getting underneath something coming across. So traditionally, against a too high look, right? We saw USF expose it against South Carolina State. There's a big hole between the two safeties, right? That you want to get into. So a lot of teams like to throw the post and drive the post into this hole between the safeties. Well, with Tampa 2, you kind of take that away. You see he's running up the pipe as he's starting to bend it back in here. And the quarterback was probably thinking post or this bender right here when he saw the pre-snap coverage. But instead of kind of forcing it in there, he takes off on 3rd and 7. The defense does a good job rallying, knocking him short. So here's a play against North Texas. Just to kind of show you, here's number 2 again. Let's put the highlight on him. Number 2, he's all over the field. We saw him the last play, he was up the line of scrimmage. Now he's sitting off back here. They're going to run kind of like a cover 2 man underneath. And they're going to bring some pressure late. So what I'm thinking is happening here, right? You got your 3 down are coming. And he's basically going to add on late. What I'm guessing they're doing is, since they're playing man, both of these guys, they're both back players. So if the back would go out this way, this guy would take him. If he goes out this way, he'd take him. So when the back goes out to the offense's right, he's going to take the back, and they're just manned up everywhere else. And since he doesn't have a responsibility in coverage, he's going to add on to the pressure late. The quarterback thinks he has the wheel. 2 does a good job getting over the top. You can see him kind of fight through traffic here. Gets over the top, makes an interception. Gets down inside the red zone here, probably down inside the 5-yard line. So a big takeaway, and just a different way they're using number 2. Like I said, he's all over the place. And another interesting scheme with kind of the adding on the extra blitzer late. Okay, so here's another tight front look with 3 safeties. Again, this is number 2. He's right there. Having him in the middle allows him to kind of almost be like a rover. He can kind of add on to the run game. He can kind of jump routes in the middle here. So he has a lot of freedom, and obviously they like to use him a lot. So I think you're going to see a similar scheme to one we saw against Arkansas State, where we get some type of movement here, guys coming off the edge, right? So let's see. So that's what we get. So the tackle does a pretty good job here. Trying to get this tackle. Now I'm trying to occupy the guard, center, guard and tackle, and then wrap him around between the guard and tackle there. So you can see the scheme of it here. North Texas does a pretty good job. But watch kind of what happens here. Here's number 2. That second safety, he's kind of come down into the hole here. And as the quarterback goes to escape kind of, or he kind of takes his time, he's going to trigger because he's got the kind of freedom to do that. Now the quarterback probably could have thrown this here, and They have some pretty decent guys on the back end, but they're not unbelievable. There are opportunities in plays to be made against them. But number two here, they give him a lot of freedom, and he's going to come up, force the throw. The quarterback has to throw it away. So again, it's kind of, you can see how they're using number two there all over the field, and you'll see him on Saturday all over the place. And so this is one where it's just like, they also, I included this because it's just really like fundamentally sound here. SMU had the ball on the 1 yard line here, tried for a quarterback sneak on 4th and goal. TCU stops them, so now they're coming out of their own end zone. They come out with two receivers. You got a tight end, a fullback, or probably an H-back. You just want to run inside zone and get the ball out of here. SMU does a great job of being gap sound and allowing and then kind of funneling the ball back to their linebacker here. So he's going to come up over here. They're going to try to run split zone. So we're going to get blocked there. Everybody else is just stepping for zone. The back's going to here, and he can cut back if it's closed. So right here, he's occupying a double team. They're doing a good job back here. The linebacker right here does a good job of filling that hole right there. He fills the back, cuts back right to the other linebacker who puts his helmet on the ball and forces a fumble. And that's just because this is like perfect assignment football right here. And this is a big turning point of the game right here. TCU, you're down 7-0. You get a goal line stop, and what do? You give the ball right back. SMU would score 1 or 2 plays later, go for 2 and get it, and go up 15-0 with about 6 minutes left in the first quarter. So this is a really big play, and it was just nothing spectacular. This is just guys being sound in their assignments, and the linebacker making a good play and sticking his helmet right on the ball. Now, SMU's defense is not perfect. So we'll look at a few things that kind of gave them problems. This is one thing North Texas did a lot, and TCU borrowed it in the game, and it gave them some problems. I want to be down, down, down. The kind of old school counter, pulling the guard and the tackle here. This gave them problems against North Texas quite a bit. North Texas ran it a bunch, and TCU ran it for some pretty big plays in their game last weekend as well. So you see here, they don't even block it perfectly, and this back's pretty good player. But you can see the guard. The guard should probably be coming to kick that right there and let the tackle get up inside there. So they should even have another guy, but the guard kind of trips. The tackle gets a piece. But that's enough to kind of get the back loose. So I'd be interested to see if we see any of these kind of wrinkles from USF on Saturday. I think that I would imagine they're going to be doing some different things in the run game, just because not only because of the bye week, but just kind of they understand their personnel a little bit more. And Coach Bell's always done. He's not just a straight inside outside zone kind of guy. They do some, and you saw that they'll do some pulling, some down blocking, they'll run some gap plays. So I'd imagine you'll see more of that this week. All right, so here's another one. Just kind of show you maybe some deficiencies. I don't know how good this guy is for Arkansas State. He must be a pretty good player, but he won a lot of one-on-ones. So right here, this is 1st and 8, so ball's on the 8-yard line. They're selling out, probably playing cover 0. They're just going to throw it up here to the receiver. and I think he had 2 or 3 touchdowns, but that's kind of, you know, that's pretty easy right there. Now 5 played pretty well against TCU, but Arkansas State was able to throw the ball on them quite a bit, and TCU was able to later. So I don't know exactly how good their corners are, but I think there are plays to be made on them down the field. Here's kind of another example of that. Same guy, and it's nothing fancy here. There's your 3 safety look. He's probably trying to get over the top, but he doesn't. That's what I just don't know how great they are on the back end. I think Two's a pretty good player, but he's more of a linebacker type body, I would imagine. He's probably a little bit quicker than a linebacker, but it's not much. I think he's really just a real hybrid player, but he's not one of these guys that's going to be able to run with some of the faster guys for USF. So, that this gave them problems. They had some problems in this game, and maybe this guy's just unbelievable, but they had some problems with the deep ball in that first game. So USF's got to take some shots. And then we're back to the top. So USF's got to take some shots down the field, test those guys. I think they should be able to throw the ball. If they can find a running game like North Texas was able to and TCU was able to, with the bye week, hopefully they got to work on some things, kind of find that running game. If they're able to do that, then they'll have a chance to move the ball in this defense. This defense is not juggernaut. They are well coached. They do have some interesting schemes, and they do show a lot of different things, but they're not just going to – I don't think they're going to just get up there and manhandle you physically. So if USF plays assignment football, kind of stays within the rules on offense, especially up front, and is able to kind of get the running game going a little bit, they should be able to move the ball in this game. Either way, it should be an interesting matchup just to see how not only the offensive line, but young quarterback Jordan McLeod deals with all the different looks he's going to get. Having 2 weeks to prepare for this team was probably, a real blessing coming up because they just show so much stuff. That extra prep time is probably going to help out a lot. But it'll be interesting to see Saturday how it goes. SMU's really good on offense, so one way to kind of slow them down is to hold the ball a little bit more. And if USF can run the ball, that's one way they can maybe slow down the SMU offense a little bit too. So interesting to see. We'll find out Saturday if they're able to do that.